Chapter 23, Commercial Vehicle Tires, Video 1, Introduction. So one of the aspects of it, what we call the wheel ends on a truck, there's a lot of components that are included in the wheel end, kind of the axle end, the brakes, the hubs, the rims, and the tires all play a part in what we would call just the general description of what we call the wheel end. All of those components have a job of supporting the weight of the truck, transferring that weight from the tires to the wheels, to the hubs, through the brakes, to the axle, through the suspension, to the frame, all of that. So the way the transfer of weight is carried back and forth between all those components makes every one of those components a pretty important part of our wheel end. Tires are very important on that because they are the contact between the truck and the road. So where all of that weight is transferred through the tire, then finally to the road, traction forces, directional changes, all that stuff happens through the tire. Tires are the second highest cost to the operation of the truck, besides fuel. So tires, they wear. That's what they're meant to do, is to wear away. The rubber on there, as it's providing the traction and carrying the load, will start to wear away. So obviously there's going to be a large expense there when those tires finally do wear out. So we'll talk about some of the ways that the technician can help control that, and then to provide a long life for the tires. There's a lot of reasons for that. Some of them are very controllable. Tire pressure, the biggest problem we have with the tires, or lack of maintenance with the tires, is not having proper pressure, and also the easiest to control. Tire wear, not analyzing the tire wear or understanding what the tire wear means, and making those changes so that those tires will wear evenly and extend the life of those. So those are things that we can control as a technician or as a driver. Some of the things that we just cannot control are road conditions, road hazards, that sort of stuff, where the unforeseen object that's in the road and it could cut down a sidewall, cause that damage. So those roadside repairs are where we're going to see the majority of that is because of the tires. And also the worst place to try and work on a truck is on the side of the road. So if we can do our part as a technician and understanding the needs of the tires, tire pressure, maintaining that, we can do our best to try to reduce the cost from the excessive wear of the tire, breakdowns, and that sort of thing. So part of the job too of the tire is, obviously supporting the weight of the vehicle. The weight is carried through as we put the payload on the tractor trailer, carried down through the frame, to the suspension, to the axle, through the hubs, through the brakes, through the wheel, and then finally out to the tire. So all of those forces and all of the weight and everything's transferred back and forth between all those components. So they all play an important role in supporting the weight of that of the truck and its payload. One of the other functions it has to do is to transmit or transfer the directional control of our steer tires, the braking forces from the brakes to slow the vehicle down, and also the traction forces to accelerate the truck. All those are transferred through the tire, so that's makes it an important role to do that, because that is the contact with the tire. The tire is the contact with the road, and all of those various forces are played out in the contact patch with the tire with the road. So a very important role that the tire has. Part of it also is we've got for absorbing shock. So with just the volume of the air in there, Some of those road hazards or the potholes, that sort of stuff, the impact of those is absorbed by the tire and not all transferred through the suspension. So it plays a small part in the suspension of the truck, is that absorbing those impacts and stuff through the tire just because of the size of it and the cushioning effect it might have. We've talked about directional control through our steer tires, controlling the direction of the trailer or the tractor trailer combination, braking, traction forces, all those are handled by the tires. So just a basic understanding of the tire is, just the volume of air trapped in there, large volume of air, and then it's pressurized. So high pressure working against that, the internal surface of the tire is what gives us that large load carrying capacity. The more surface area we got, the more pressure that we have in there, the more weight carrying capacity that tire has. That's why we use extremely tall tires, wide, large volume air in there. We'll have dual tires, dual drive or dual trailer tires, or super single tires, large tire with a large volume of air and surface area inside there to carry that capacity. So those are how the tire works, is just that pressure working against the inside volume of that tire, the inside surface of the tire. A couple of different things that impact what tire we put on the tractor trailer combination is what role it plays in carrying that load. So if we look at the graphic, the steer tires carry a small percentage of the load. Mostly what's from the tractor itself, the engine, the transmission, the fuel, the cab, that sort of stuff. Maybe a little bit of the load from the trailer gets transferred through the fifth wheel to the frame. A little bit is carried over the steer axle. But its main job is providing directional control of the truck. So the tires have got a different role there. Very little is carrying the load, mostly is directional control, and then some braking effort is transferred through those tires. As we move back to the drive tires, a larger percent is supporting the weight of the overall weight of the tractor-trailer combination. So part of that, the load from the trailer is shared, again transferring through the fifth wheel to the frame over the drive axles. But the main purpose of the main job of the drive tires is providing traction forces and then braking forces. So and then load carrying capacity on that also. So a little bit different function than say our steer tires. Then move on back to our trailer tires. They're not providing any traction or driving forces, I say, but they will provide load carrying capacity and then some of the braking forces too. And then one of the things to consider as we select the tire size and load ratings and traction ratings and that sort of stuff, tread design has to do with the rolling resistance. How hard is it to roll that tire down the road will affect its efficiency. So if we've got a tire that is very easy to roll, high efficiency, but that may have some drawbacks. So all those things come into play with the tire selection, choosing the right tire for the right position, and each one of these tires has a different role to play.